Leaving San Luis Obispo and heading for San Francisco, you've still got several hours of driving ahead. Several hours of steady, long, meandering, flat highways rolling up the central California Valley. You wonder at the agricultural marvel that feeds much of the world, but you can't help feeling a sense of wonder as you look at the hills off in the distance. Why? Why are we drawn to the heights? The smooth and level path is easier, but for some reason, we long to reach the higher ground. And so our first stop when we reach the city is not Fisherman's Wharf, Chinatown, or Golden Gate Park, but a place on the southern edge of town called Twin Peaks, a name almost totally devoid of imagination, as it consists of, yes, Twin Peaks. As a practical matter, they're a great location for radio towers, sure, but what is it about them that leads carload after carload of tourists like ourselves to drive up as far as possible and then get out to climb a series of crude stairs to the top of each peak? The view passes for an answer most of the time, but does that really make for a satisfactory explanation? Why do we find that broad panorama so pleasing? There is a view from the valley floor after all, a view of the mountains and hills that surround it. Why do we want to take in a view that encompasses miles in every direction? Does this have some kind of evolutionary origin? Did finding the high places help us search out prey for our hunter ancestors? Did it help spot the choice growing terrain for previous generations of farmers or gatherers? Or was it a defensive ploy, designed to ensure that we could see and anticipate the arrival of enemies and competitors that might be approaching to pose a threat? The classic response to the question of why we climb is, of course, Edmund Hillary's "because it's there." And obviously there's something to that, but then think of how many things there are that are just there that we don't feel any significant compulsion to test our ability to conquer. But hills and mountains we want to climb. And no, we don't have to be the first or the only ones to reach the top for it to fill us with a sense of not simply accomplishment, but much more than that. There's a sense of euphoria that's almost inevitable, and certainly we don't have to climb high enough that oxygen deprivation serves as an explanation. We just like to reach the top, and it's probably best to simply accept it, live with it, and enjoy it. So do it. Find your high and windy eyrie. Laugh, skip, and struggle your way to the top. Take pictures both silly and scenic once you're there. Share the climb with friends and family.
Look at it! Woo! Parkour! We're living on the edge of like Twin Peaks.
Jump even higher and then take the time to contemplate. Think about the distance between yourself and the world that surrounds you. See how small you are relative to the planet that stretches out below you, and let that remind you how brief these moments are relative to the endless stretch of time lying both behind and stretching out ahead. Then see that regardless of the distance, you are still connected. The places you've been and the places you'll go don't exist in isolation. There are paths connecting them. And let that remind you that the people you've known, the people you've yet to meet, the person you've been and the one you're on your way to becoming, they're all connected as well. Standing at the heights lets us see those paths a little more clearly, but we know when we descend back into the valleys, the trenches as it were, they will still exist. We don't live in isolation. Take comfort in that. Do you have a favorite high place you've been to? Are there some you like to return to time and again? Share those stories with us down in the comments. Don't forget to be awesome, and I'll talk to you again, soon, hopefully.